Hey everyone, it's Lucas from the Pint Pals Podcast. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. We also have set up a Patreon if you feel like supporting the show in another way. Again, it is always appreciated but never expected. Let's get on with the show. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pint Pals Podcast. It is I, Lucas.
My name's Nate.
And today, we're joined by two very special guests from the Most Podcast. We have Drew and Andrew.
Hello.
Hello.
I've been looking forward to this episode.
You won't stop talking about it?
I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Lucas is very excited. Nate is definitely doesn't watch Rooster Teeth content. Understood.
We get it. We get it.
So the Most Podcast is part of, I guess, the Rooster Teeth umbrella. Is that fair to say?
We only live on roosterteeth.com. We are a Rooster Teeth podcast. And so we're about to launch our, like you guys, I'm sure, are available on Spotify and Apple. We're not. So we're about to launch that version of our show. And we thought it would be fun to randomly go on whoever invited us on their podcast. So now we're here on your podcast because you asked.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly low barrier for it. Just like, hey, hit us up. We'll come on your show. Like, just don't be jerks, and we can have to do it remote. Those are the two rules. No hate speech, and we get to sit at our computers and do it, and we'll be there. And so we are. And so we have, I think we have 20. We've been 20 guest spots that we're doing as we
cruising the internet web, one podcast at a time.
That's right. So but this is the first podcast that sent us something.
Okay. Well,
I don't know that we're allowed to say what you sent us, but we appreciate
we appreciate that something was sent to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we wanted to be able to do a tasting with you guys. I'm a big Rooster Teeth fan, hence I decided to bring out my Rooster Teeth Tiki mug for this. And decided to some of the beers. I've had 2 of the 3 beers that we have today.
Yeah.
And the one beer that we have is a favorite of ours on the show. And I also sent this to another podcast in Texas, believe it or not. And they talked about it for about 30 minutes.
Pretty much the entire podcast.
On how much they just love this beer. So
wow, cool.
Do we get to guess, or is it?
Yeah. Go ahead and guess for it.
I'm gonna guess it's the tall boy because there's the most beer of it. Like it's the most amount, and it's also the weirdest.
Solid reason.
This thing, not gonna lie, this sweet cherry and key lime gauche. How do you say it?
It's a goza.
Goza.
Yeah.
We spent several episodes just trying to figure out how to pronounce that word. So
that one seems like the most dubious to me, and there's also the most of it. Like it's a tall boy. So very concerned and excited to try that one.
I would venture to guess that people go wild about the creamsicle. I think people are gaga over that one, but could be it could be the door number 3. Who knows?
It actually is door number 3. It is Daybreak's Wolf's Ridge Brewing. And if you guys want, we can go ahead and start with this one.
Okay.
Start off with some coffee.
Do you want to start with the most popular and work our way? Or I say most popular. Do you want to start with the much lauded one and work our way around?
The favorite.
Yeah. I mean, so this is a coffee cream ale, and since you're already enjoying a cup of coffee, this would go well with it. So
perfect. I'm gonna crack it right near the mic so you get that nice.
I was gonna do the same.
Here we go. Oh, listen to that.
Oh yes. Oh, I got foam on me. I've been foamed.
Yep. So I think the biggest surprising thing about this is just the color. When they were pouring it out originally, the Tipsy Texan, they were really thrown off by the color of this.
Oh, so this was another Texan podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, where are you guys?
I'm a dunce. I don't have a glass. I'm just gonna drink it out of the can.
You'll ride for it. Oh man.
Drink it out of the can like a plebe. Hold on one second. Let me grab a glass. There's one right here. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
It's like coffee that makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
Is there any ASMR components to y'all's show? Is there like sipping or foam? Like, have you guys thought about doing
we do a lot of wet mouth sounds.
Fucking yuck.
Got to get that into the mic.
I'm vibing on this one.
Good beer.
It's pretty good. Well, and then what's the other rule? Is there any rules in the show about like finishing? Like, I don't want to. If I get all the way through all three,
whatever
of these,
you don't
I'm gonna
finish.
We like to bring.
You have to chug at the end. So
Okay, cool.
Just a heads up.
We like to bring our guests to the almost finishing point, and then it's up to them if they want to finish or not. So
this is this is a beer / edging podcast. So yeah, I'm also for being a coffee cream ale, this is shockingly light. This is
yes.
Wow.
Well, I think y'all did this for me, right? These are all
I was told no IPAs. I don't know who I was talking to on Twitter.
If I you were talking to me. If I drink IPAs, one of my eyes goes out.
Oh, okay.
It just kind of I get a migraine and have to lay down for the day, and then my face gets real red.
Oh, jeez.
This is sensational. This is very good. I
feel like there should be a super cut of y'all's podcast of people just going into the microphone. I feel like that's all I've done on this one.
Wow.
I'm gonna get another little splash.
This beer is from Wolf's Ridge Brewing here in Columbus. That's where we're based out of.
Ohio.
Yeah.
And this beer has won gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival in 2020 and the silver medal in 2019. So it is a very, prestigious awards in the beer industry.
You know, this feels like Andrew, you'll agree with me here. It's an ACL beer. If you had like a giant pitcher of that just cruising around ACL,
100%. You know what this really feels. Actually, you know what? This is 100%.
What's an ACL beer?
Austin City, like the Austin City Music Festival.
Gotcha.
It's 1,000 degrees out, and you're like, I don't want to feel heavy, but I also want to get my drink on. It's just very bright.
Yeah, I was gonna say to me, for back, I was gonna say fun fest, but for the artist tent, they would put it back there. They would put it back for like for talent and the artists in the back, because like front of house in the crowds, they get like it's usually like the sponsors up front are usually like, I feel like I bought. In my day going to ACL and fun, it's like you get Shiner or it's like Amstel. Like those are like the ones that are like big festival sponsors.
Ziegenbach is always apparent.
Yeah, but this is the one that they would put in like ice troughs behind for the artists, and people would be nonstop talking about it. Like it'd be like, oh man, you got to get one from back behind in the artist tent. This is very good.
Yeah. So what is So I work in a craft in a brewery as a cellar tech, and I've worked in like craft beer stores, and so like this is definitely a passion of mine, and hopefully one day we plan on opening our own brewery.
Oh, nice. Wonderful!
What history of like craft beer do you guys have? I know Austin has a bunch of breweries.
Yeah,
and I know, like all of Texas. Like I have a buddy down there and we trade. I send him Ohio beers, he sends me Texas beers. So
I see the one that sent us that really good collection.
Yeah.
Pretty familiar in general with beers and have tried a lot. My dad is a homebrew dude, but he can't do anything a little bit. So he's a chemical engineer. He got someone to give him instead of having carboys, he got 50-gallon tanks, just 50-gallon tanks to like have in his garage. So homie be making some beer, and he won like a little contest with his amber one year, I recall. But I have tried many beers, have not ever made a beer, but have definitely done my fair share of like brewery tours and beer drinking.
I feel like my experience with it, that's awesome. I like that your dad is like an all or nothing guy. Just like
there's no like, oh, I got a 5-gallon. He like came home. He's like, I got these steel like medical grade tanks to make my beer in. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I feel like, the Texas microbrew craft brew scene has absolutely, especially in Austin, has exploded in the last like 10 years. Cause I remember I feel like, I've been here since 2003, and I feel like back then it was like, there wasn't much in the way of craft beer, but then again, I was a, poor college student, just like shotgunning Lone Stars like a dweeb.
Which Lone Star is a great beer. It's a great river beer.
I like a nice river beer. But then I feel like the first one on the scene that I remember and being like, oh, was Austin Beer Works. I feel like that was the
coolest kids. The coolest kids in town are Austin Beer Works, and they're back when I could drink IPAs. The Fire Eagle was my favorite of like just a poundable IPA that you can't go wrong on. Is the Austin Beer Works Fire Eagle.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Isn't that the place that Rooster Teeth did the anniversary collaboration beer? That's correct. I tried to get that beer. So, oh man, that was back in the day before I had any a Texas beer trading buddy.
Well, Andrew's got the box that you sent us some stuff in, and I mean, if you don't mind, it's probably skunked, but I think there's some in an art lockup somewhere.
Oh, geez.
I've definitely seen a 6-pack of old beer in our hot lockup in of the RT beer.
Oh, so. Why is it called the hot lockup? I don't know if I want a several-year-old beer that's in a hot box. That's been.
Hey man, you asked.
Yeah,
I can get you one. I can't guarantee the quality.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at a list to refresh my memory of so it was Austin Beer Works. I think even before that, it was St. Arnold. Is St. Arnold out of Austin or out of Texas?
No, they're out of Texas.
Yeah.
I know this because for an episode of Shipping Wars, we had to take a bunch of co-eds to Mardi Gras, and the stop along it's as bad as it sounds. The stop along the way was at St. Arnold's, which I will say
I had some St. Arnold beer.
Oh, the St. Arnold's lawnmower. I don't know what it is about the St. Arnold's lawnmower, but that shit is my jam.
I mean, it tastes like a lawn, but in the best way. Like it does.
So
is
that an IPA? What kind of beer is it?
No, I think it's a amber or red. I just know that
I think it's red. I think it's a red.
Pass my phone. I'll pull up Untapped.
And then Rose, what kind of beer do you drink, Roses? What are you? Are you? Because I was an IPA guy for a while, but I can't anymore due to my
condition.
It caused me to die.
Yeah. I went through, I guess, my most recent phase. I don't drink very much beer anymore.
You're not a big drinker, period. You had two whiskeys at my house the other day, and I was like, "Yo, buddy, slow down.
Slow down.
I don't mess with whiskey."
Oh, it was good. It was good. it was very good whiskey. I feel like
that's a Kolsch.
Kolsch. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Kolsch's, they do have that some of them can have a grassy taste to it. So I mean, that is a quality.
There it is.
There's some beers that even have tasting qualities of cat piss.
Oh, well then sure. Sign me out. That's look
at the time.
Yeah. No, I went through back when I drank a little bit more beer than I do now. I was really on a big sour kick. I liked sours.
I'm still on my sour kick right now.
Yeah. Blue Owl, the Little Boss, Blue Owl Brewery's Little Boss, I believe, is a nice sour. Blue Owl made I think a handful of beers. They made 5 beers, and all of them were good, except they had one cherry stout that was let me say, I loved every other beer they made, but their cherry stout was undrinkable. I was
I was not sure. I was not sure where you were going, dude. I thought you were. It was very much one of those things come into my office. You're higher. Like,
yeah. I was really building it up. It's like, that plan yesterday was brilliant.
Undrinkable.
So I didn't want to, cast any aspersions or bring anyone down, because they make some very, very fine beers. But I got a cherry stout because I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I like all their other beers. Let me try this one. One sip. Let me take another sip to make sure. let me recenter myself. Let me try it again. Third, to make sure. No, not for me. 100% not for me. But I don't know. I don't know why why it was such a mess with me, because I like stouts, and I think I've had another cherry stout at one point. But no, it was not working for me.
The worst Texas beer, and we even had it on the show that I've had, was from 903 Brewery. It was their Sasquatch Irish Cream Stout, and it tasted just like jet fuel. Like it just had that like burny alcohol.
Diesel podcast?
Yeah,
I remember that one.
It was the St. Patty's Day episode.
Okay.
So I've never even heard of that brewery. So maybe they're maybe they are no more.
Yeah. No. I know they do a bunch of fun beers. I think they're out of Houston.
Okay. Oh, they're out of Houston.
Fun
Okay.
So that was their unfun beer.
Yeah.
Fun beers. Like, is that a category of beers? Like weird? Fucking who's doing this right now? There's a grape. So Best Made has just released, or there's a partnership with Best Made. Grape pickle beer. I don't know who's making it, but they had the pickle beer for a while, which I've tried and it's fine. But the grape pickle beer, I can't abide. I can't imagine that would be good.
It actually tastes like pickles.
It does. Well, yeah, the pickle beer does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So what I classify as like a fun beer is
beers that explode on you.
Beers that explode on you. Yeah. Have you ever heard of the brewery 450 North?
No, but
they are a brewery out of Indiana, and they make these heavily fruited sours and Berliner Weisses, and just like they're slushy beers. They're still technically beers, but I don't want to be like, oh, I'm a traditional beerist. I only drink the German Pilsners and whatnot.
Right. I feel like there's a category of beer though that exists inside of craft beer making that is like stunt beer, like this pickle grape beer, where it's just like you it's for things like this, like a podcast where it's like, oh, come on my podcast and try this wackadoodle beer, and like that's the whole market. You get a 6-pack of it to share with your friends to like be
like experimental.
Try.
Yeah.
And then to brag about how much you liked the pumpkin pie beer, the pumpkin pie Krolsch or whatever it is.
Right.
The beans and cornbread Krolsch from Three Numbers Brewery.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like sorry, I just went down I'm going down a list of like Austin breweries, and it really is. This is very interesting because it's like a This Is Your Life of Andrew Rose's 20s and early 30s. This is very fascinating because I'm like trying to remember all the ones I had. So yeah, Austin Beer Works, the Peacemaker, Fire Eagle, and Pearl Snap.
Oh yeah,
Pearl Snap is like was heavily part of my. But the Peacemaker is like one of those like get a case of those and take to the river. Like it's just the most like drinkable. Like
those 3 Austin beers are just different versions of you in your 20s. Every Austin dude who lived here is just like it's just the fuckboy beers of your 20s are those 3 beers, and when and where you drank them.
When and where. Yeah, exactly. They're absolutely time stamped on like various just like cretinous moments of your 20s. Just exactly. Like find your thing. Also, the Friends and Allies has one that's really, really good, and I'm trying to like remember what it is.
I had the Live Oak Hefeweizen ruined for me. I was a huge Hefeweizen drinker in college because we would have shift beers at the pizza place. Ugh. And somebody ruined. Well, and I've had good Hef like before, like it's fun and whatever. But the Live Oak Hefeweizen tastes like hot dogs, and I didn't realize that until someone walked up to me one day and were like, "Oh, hot dogs?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "It tastes like hot dogs." And then sorry,
that's all you taste.
Yeah, hot dog beer forever.
I can't do the Hefeweizens. That the yeast that's used in there gives it that banana flavor, and it's just like I can't.
That's right. You ruined them for me because you mentioned the banana flavor.
I can't do it.
Have you ever had Hops and Grains a Mosaic?
Yes.
I like that one a whole lot. That's a lot though. It's like it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
It's an IPA, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Or no, it's a Mosaic. It's like it's their own. But I remember drinking that one a lot. But that was I would have only one or two of those. That was definitely not a like, oh, we're getting, we're having fun on the river with the pale Mosaic.
I forgot what this one tasted like, and I just retried it again. I'm going to make a mistake and power through all of these. And
it's totally fine.
Fat nap on the couch after this.
Yeah, I feel like of all of the I'm glad we started with this one because it is tremendous. I mean, this is tremendous. I'm going to recommend this to people. Like this is tremendous.
None of the beers that I got for this episode, I think, are like too heavy ABVs. So.
This one was an 8.
I'm sorry. This was 8. Yeah. None of them was too bad. Except for the tall boy. That's 8%.
And we're finishing with that one. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta finish strong.
Yeah, precisely. Jeez Louise.
Well, do we want to give our rating for this very first one here?
Sure.
Yes.
So we've given our rating, but I mean it's been a while since we've had this one on the podcast. So I'd like to go back and kind of give it a different rating.
Yeah. Do you want to explain the rating system?
Yeah. So for the longest time, we mispronounced the way that we did our rating system. So we did the pro system.
You said we. It was
we.
You.
Okay. It was maybe just me.
Got a mouse in your pocket?
So we originally used to call it the post system, thinking that was the correct way, the correct German way, but actually it's just prost. Anyway, it's an acronym for how we rate our beers here. So P is probably won't drink again. R is regrettable. O is optimistic. S is
satisfactory,
because I want to say super every time. And T is terrific.
This is a T.
T.
I'm giving this T. It's terrific.
T.
Oh yeah.
Out there.
I feel like, I'll give it a T as well. Big T.
Honestly, I think that's the same for me.
Oh yeah, hands down. This is definitely.
Every time I go to Wolf Ridge, that's the first thing I get.
Yeah.
Is Wolf Ridge near y'all? Are y'all near this?
It's closer to him. I live in
but it's like in the hood.
It's located downtown,
Ohio.
Columbus.
It says right here, Ohio craft beer.
Yeah, they have.
There's this bar in Columbus, and I want to see if you guys know about this. Okay, the Main Drag in Columbus, right? And there used to be. How long have y'all been in Columbus?
I've been here about a year now.
4 or 3 years.
Okay, it may not be there anymore. There used to be this spot called like Bombshell. It wasn't Bombshells. It was like it had meatloaf platters on their menu. But behind that spot, there was this dope bar on the main drag of Columbus. I can't remember what it's called, but I've been to Columbus like 4 or 5 times, and every time we'd go, it was a fucking rad time. It was like just off.
Is it like a dive bar?
It's a dive bar. Yeah. Dive bar Columbus, right off. Like it's not on that main drag. It's like.
Is it like just before you get into downtown? And it's.
Do you mean like main drag over by the university, or do you?
Yeah, I think it's by the university.
Oh shit, we don't go over there.
Who would?
No, I'm thinking it's the one by the hotel we stayed at for your bachelor party. It was right next to Late Night Slice. We didn't get to go to it. I can't remember what it's called though.
That seems correct.
It's next to the brewery. There's next to a brewery there too.
You talking about like next to Barley's?
Yeah.
But I will say Columbus, coolest place in Ohio. I've been to many places in Ohio, and way to go! Y'all upgraded the Zoom. Hello.
Thank you, Zoom.
Unlimited minutes.
Unlimited minutes. My
wow.
Oh, glad we waited.
Excuse me.
Rather, Senator. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Andrew, have you spent any time in Ohio?
I've been to Cleveland.
It apparently rocks.
It's like everything. The best spot west of the Allegheny. Yeah, I have enjoyed my time there, however brief.
Well, somebody has to.
There's a lot of great places there.
Yeah, it was. I was. Oh goodness! I forgot I have a MIDI keyboard and I forgot it was plugged in, and so when I pressed it, it just made I heard a bunch of synth noises that just like played. I was like, let me clean up this beer I spilled on my keyboard. Ah! just like very loud synth noises. Yeah, but see, I love the Midwest. Like I love Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, well, Chicago. I say Illinois when I mean by Illinois is Chicago. Yeah,
you spent some time in Chicago, huh? You lived in Chicago.
I lived in Chicago for a year. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to move back there. Honestly,
it's a wonderful place. And when I say all this, it's like I just miss what I miss is walkable cities. I feel like Chicago is like a walkable city. It's got good mass transit. You can get around real easy. Good rail system, and also major league sports teams. I also like that.
Man, Austin FC is coming up. I feel like we're almost there with it. It's just we got to get out of COVID first.
Yeah, we got to get out of COVID, and then I will be happy to go to an Austin FC game.
Yeah.
Didn't Texas almost get the crew?
Yeah, you guys almost got the crew from Columbus.
That's our major league soccer team.
Yeah, won the cup last year, and the owners were like, "Oh, we're going down to Austin." And all the fans were like, "The hell you are!"
Slash their tires, boys! Like they're not going anywhere. Yeah, I can't wait to go to an Austin FC game because I just like drinking a $15 beer at a major sporting event. Yep. That's part of the. Speaking of beer, that's part of like the communal experience. Although. We have a minor league baseball team here called the Round Rock Express, which is in Round Rock, which is just north of Austin. It's a little minor league.
Nolan Ryan's team.
It's a minor league team, but it's good baseball in a nice little stadium, and the beers there are like $4. They're like maybe a third of what like
reasonably priced.
Yeah,
that's the only way someone could normally convince me to go to a baseball game because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't like baseball. The only way I'll go is if they can offer me a beer.
I'm not a big sports guy in general, but live sports I'll fuck with every time, no matter what. Like live sports is a completely different
experience.
Yeah.
We go to we've been to about 5 or 6 Blue Jacket games. Yeah. And the beers there are
it was like $12 for a tall boy can.
12, for a 16-ounce can, it's $12.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And so Lucas, you're opening your own brewery?
No. We want to. I have done some home brewing.
Yeah.
I have a couple of 5-gallon buckets that I brewed beer in. Not ideal for an apartment kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I work as a cellar technician for the local brewery in town, the Crooked Can Brewing in Hilliard. And my job there, I basically do the beer transfers from the fermenting tanks to the bright tanks where they get CO2. I do the kegging. I clean the kegs. The only thing I really don't do is the brewing aspect of it, but I'm being trained in that now. So
nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's really cool. What kind of a beer do you think when you open your own? Where are you? Focus your attention. What's your white whale? What's the one that you like really want to make as your like inaugural one?
Honestly, he had a phenomenal one right here at the beginning of the summer.
What do you mean?
Your Goza?
I did not. I did not brew it. I
say otherwise. But anyway,
I never said that I brewed it. I came up with.
But when I ask whose recipe it is, you're like, it's mine.
Okay. If you get a recipe from Gordon Ramsay, are you going to say that? Oh, I learned how to cook from Gordon Ramsay. No.
I mean, you could.
But in the beginning of the summer, the head brewer asked me if there were any beers that I wanted to come up with, and so I came up with this like a rough recipe, and he fine-tuned it for a watermelon Goza, which was perfect for the beginning of the beginning of the summer.
Delish.
It was very good. I don't know, because we've been talking about opening a brewery and going like I want to go to brew school and get my certificate and blah blah blah.
That's like we haven't been very open about the idea of opening the brewery.
Well, no, you just came up with the idea 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
I love it. I love this the initiative.
I don't know. I mean, like right now, there's all of these hype breweries and hype beers that are just like these overly fruited slushies and like beer slushies and stuff like that. But I want to do a mix because when craft beer first started, it was like, how hoppy can I have this beer?
Man, that was a rough time.
Pine needles.
Yeah.
Just
and I like some of that beer. I like the West Coast IPAs, that drier, that hoppy bite to it. Almost, it tastes like a pine tree. It has that pininess to it. I want to do some of, just classic IPAs, but I don't want to do beers that explode, because a lot of these overly sugary, slushy beers, they'll start to re-ferment. And I picked some up from a brewery, and I didn't keep it in a fridge. And I came back from work one day, and I turned the lights on in here, and it looked like a murder scene, because it was a black cherry beer, and it was just splattered all over. I can send you some of the pictures on Twitter, but it looked like somebody came in and just like stabbed somebody to death. It was just everywhere.
Put someone in a wood chipper. Good Lord.
I was scraping beer out of the front of my computer. Because it was just it was.
You take another can into the bathroom, and then it
exploded in my hand, because I was taking pictures of. I was letting the brewery know, as a responsible beer owner. I was taking pictures, and I'm like, this can is about to explode. So I set my phone down, and I'm like, if I just let it out a little bit, it'll just drain into the sink. As soon as I touched it with my second hand, it blew up like a hand grenade in my hand, and my bathroom got covered in beer. It was just like an outline of my body. And I was just like, from head, just like my chest up was just covered in this rancid, re-fermenting beer.
If you'd been a cartoon duck, your bill would have been on the other side of your head.
I knew you were gonna figure out a Looney Tunes in there somewhere. Andy. I felt it coming as soon as he said the outline. I was like, which one's it gonna be? Is there a small sign involved? I know that Andrew's gonna have a Looney Tunes reference here now.
Yep. Like clockwork. That man. Who knew? So fraught with potential. That's I was just thinking about your watermelon goes like. I like that idea, because you're talking about these like fruit slushy beers. Like, what I like about I like watermelon just flavored things, because it is a subtle flavor. Like, you're not like, even like I would say from watermelon candy, but that tastes nothing like watermelon. But usually like watermelon flavored, like a watermelon, like agua fresca or something like that. It's just like, there's just like a kiss. There's like a hint of watermelon in there. Like, it's just like, you get that like slight flavor, but it's not like, it isn't like biting into some watermelon candy or something like that. It's not like, well, I guess, or it's like too overpowering. Like, I like a subtleness to it. And you were just like saying, like, I remember, I feel like about the time I stopped drinking beer more regularly was about the time, which I'm going to go say was about like 7 or 8 years ago, was when there was this real, just unchecked arms race of who could make the hoppiest beer. Like, it was a real race to the bottom with like, okay, this is the most undrinkable beer we could possibly make. It is so sharp. It's just like knives, just like hoppy knives in your mouth. It's so powerful.
How many IBUs are in this beer? And that's not even a thing anymore. Nobody cares about IBUs. International bittering units.
Jesus Christ. No
like thanks. The higher the IBUs, the more hoppy it's going to be. And people, like, there are still some breweries out there like Sierra Nevada and some of these like breweries that have been around longer, that still come out, like, they have their regular beers and stuff like that, but they'll come out with like one of those insanely hopped beers, like some triple IPA or something like that, just for those people that are like, oh man, I'm jonesing for those IBUs.
It just occurred to me, I have a yearly beer tradition. I just remembered this. I have a year, every year I get, starting about 5 years ago, every year I get the Anchor Steam Christmas beer. Whatever Christmas beer they make, I get like a little 6-pack. I get 1 6-pack of their Christmas beer. My friend Owen Edgerton, you and I both know.
I know him very well.
He turned me on to that because he like brought over, we were doing a Master Pancake Christmas show, and for one of the rehearsals, he brought over a 6-pack of the Anchor Steam's Christmas beer, and it was delicious. Like it was so delicious, but it's new. It's a different, like it's a different recipe every year. Some years it's real. The first year I had it was really amazing. So of course I'm like, oh, well now I'm going to get a 6-pack of this. Yeah, I must every year. Some years it's really phenomenal. Some years it's okay. I feel like the last time I had it, I didn't get one last year just because of the pandemic. But in previous years, it's always, every time I've had the Anchor Steam, like every time I've had it, it's been at least decent. It's been like decent to unbelievably good. But it's never been like, oh, swing and a miss. Like it's never been like, I don't know if I want to finish this.
Close. It's always gotten close.
Always gotten close. But yeah, that's my beer. That's a beer tradition. I just remembered. I love it.
I think that's what's so cool about craft beers is that every year you can't really expect the same thing. There's so many different things that they change.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many different factors into it that can give it just a completely different taste every year to year.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's so cool.
That is really cool. And it's one of the things that's really fascinating to me too, is because, like with most other, I would say foodstuffs products, things that are more like niche or, craft or organic or like homemade, you are going to taste. It's very hard to like perfectly replicate the stuff you make year to year because things vary, like the crop. And
what is that called? Like where, like in winery where it's like the terroir or whatever, where it's like the dirt that it was raised in is different. It has different moisture content and changes.
Different like nitrates or whatever, the different nitrogen content in the soil, nitrogen content in the soil. Like all this can affect like how the grapes taste, but I assume that carries over for anything.
Yeah, because there's water a big source of water is a big thing.
Yeah. Depending on like what type of water you use from different parts of the country, that's going to have an effect on your beer. Grain seasons each year is going to be different depending on what company you get your malt from. It's probably going to be a little bit different. And like right now, I know a lot of breweries at least at work, we're going through it with just because how the pandemic has affected everything, and shipping is trying to get something shipped right now is a nightmare. Just coming up with substitutes for like, well, I can't get my hands on this grain, but I can get my hands on this grain. So if I play with it a little bit, I can kind of turn it into, and it'll be similar, but it won't be the same type thing. So there's a lot of like substituting that's been happening in craft beer.
Interesting. And I assume with that, like it can produce some surprising results. Like it's either like, oh well, it's good, but it's not the same thing, or it's like, hey, we
figured it out. Who thought coconut sugar was a good idea?
Well, are you guys ready to move on to the second beer?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
It's room temperature.
It's still cold. Just don't complain.
Mine are still cold. Mine are still chilly. We're doing creamsicle.
The creamsicle. So yesterday, I got caught up watching the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, so I forgot to put the beers in the fridge, and so I had to wrap them in damp paper towels and put them in the freezer for about 30 minutes to get them cold. So.
Ooh,
nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Ooh, nice and hazy. Very.
The one you've had.
Yeah, I've had it just because of working in beer stores and whatnot.
Okay, so yeah, this is like just my speed.
Yep.
In terms of like where I was last, like kind of like playing, and because like little sour, you get the like dreamsicle quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot.
I couldn't drink a lot of these. Like I like a beer that I can just like throw me another. I like a good throw me another beer. I feel like one of these, I need this in a very tall pint glass, and then that's it for the day. That's my meal.
You know what? I agree with you, Drew. This is like, I feel like I want this beer first. I go to a bar, I sit down with some friends, I say, bring me a creamsicle. This is the first one I'm drinking because it is very sweet. It might be actually a little too on the sweet side for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the sourness of it, but it is very like, It is very sweet. So it feels like I want to start with and then go to something like, more
slammable, like a Pilsner of some kind.
Yeah. Just whatever. It's just like the Simpsons, just give me beer. Like give me the mug of beer. Like, but this seems like a very good place to start.
I have only had, to your point, Andrew, the beer experience of get me a beer. When I was in college, I went to New York City for a couple of days and I got to go to McSorley's. I'm sure all of us know what that is.
I'm from upstate New York, a couple hours north of New York City. So
nice. Yeah. So it's basically when you walk into McSorley's, they have light or dark and that's it. And then you just it's a 6-ounce glass. So it's almost one drink, like where you can just knock one back. But the classic, like, slides across the bar, they hand you the cup and then one beer, please. Gulp. Here it is. Gulp. One more beer, please. Here it is. Like classic beer establishment.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Just like slide it down the wooden bar.
Because I've always wanted to have like the norm experience where it's just like a beer, and it's like those beers always look way better than what it actually probably is, just like a Miller Lite. It's like, no, it's in a nice cup, and like I don't want to tell you anything. I just want hand me a beer.
Well, those on Cheers, Norm is drinking near beer with salt in it to keep it foamy.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So disgusting stuff.
And those mugs never were filled up all the way.
No, it was like half and half. Like it was half ahead and then half.
Yeah. But it plays for TV. It looks like classic Muggo beer on TV.
Yeah.
The so sorry. You said you're from upstate New York, so like Albany or south of Albany.
Oh yeah, because Roses, you have a romance with upstate New York. That's where you want to run away to.
I want to retire to the Adirondacks. That's where like.
Gotcha. So I'm between Albany and the city, I guess. I know that's a wide range of area.
Sure.
But like the Hudson Valley and the Catskill Mountains.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
Right on. I like my long-term plan is to retire somewhere in like either upstate or Western New York. And I will be trading one extreme for the other. Extreme heat for here, for the bitter cold, nightmarish winters of
of upstate New York.
So whenever I talk to my parents on the phone during the wintertime, my mom's like, yeah, we didn't get that much snow. We got only about a foot this time. And I'm like, I got a light dusting, and everybody in Ohio shuts down. I mean, when you guys had that freeze and
we have no infrastructure. We have absolutely zero. Like it doesn't. If it gets below 28, things shut down. And then to have actual like a foot of snow and ice, then the other thing is I'm from Oklahoma, so we have weather there. Like we have all 4 seasons, and just the lack of ability for anybody to like drive or operate in any capacity was insane to me down here. Where it's just like, nobody knows how to do any of that here. It's not part of anything that they've ever experienced. A lot of during the freeze, it was a lot of people's first time seeing snow, which just blew my mind.
Yeah, truly wild, truly wild stuff. So all that is to say, give me more, but I want to live, if that happens again, I want to live in a place that's got like
they expect it, things like heated floors and pipes that are insulated pipes.
Yeah, exactly. I was just looking up some weather data the other day on Syracuse, and they get like annually like 102 inches of snow. Gross. Just like something so upsetting. It was an upsetting number. I was like, oh boy, it sure is. Every photo you see of it, it's from the summer. So it's like gorgeous and pastoral and beautiful and like foresty. And then it's like, yeah. But why don't you look up Syracuse winter? And then it's just like piles of snow next to the road, like taller than the tallest man. Like it is like unbelievably heavy snowfall.
They get that lake effect snow. And that's a different story. Like we'll get snow, and because of living in a valley, all the snow stays pretty much on top of the mountain. But during the spring, when all of that melts, it is flooding like crazy. So
yikes. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see if my my path takes me there eventually. But
it's gorgeous up there though, with especially I know, after talking about how the terrible, you get 2 good seasons. You get summer and you get fall, because when all the leaves change. But then you got to deal with all the city people coming up. That's like, oh shit, a squirrel! Never seen one of those before.
The leafers.
Yeah, the leafers. It's oh god.
Yeah, they just the families taking their Christmas card photos.
Yes.
It's like the families going up there to like have a nice leaf changing photos in the background, like park on the side of the road. You take this photo quickly back in the car before some locals try to sell us some sap.
Sap
fucking
or fresh
syrup.
eggs.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm still liking this creamsicle. Sorry, go back to beer. I'm still liking this creamsicle.
Have you ever had just a normal Kolsch before?
We were talking about the leaf, or what was it, lawnmower? The lawnmower.
Yeah, lawnmower.
Kolsch, right?
Yeah. Like just a regular Kolsch is like a perfect. Like the beer that we had with the adjuncts that give it the creamsicle aspect of it. Like I would have this as like a dessert beer, and I'd be one and done for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just a classic Kolsch is one of my favorite styles of beer. German style, very light, easy drinking, perfect lawnmower beer. So highly recommend that.
Nice and easy.
I just looked up Blue Owl because I want to like see what that cherry beer was from Blue Owl. But Blue Owl is like sours are their game. They that's like what they do.
I always feel dumb for not liking sours. I always feel like because I don't like sours, it means I'm not enough of a beer snob. Like that's like I feel like once you get really good at drinking beer, everybody tends to go to the sour realm. Like that's the final boss before you face just eating hops just out of somebody's hand.
Yeah. Oh man, Blue Owl has I look on their website right now. They have a lot more beers right now. Some that I really want to try.
We have a brewery out of Cincinnati called Urban Artifact, and all they make are fruited sours. I guess they started a seltzer line too.
I was gonna say, are fruited sours big right now because seltzer's big right now? Is that the idea?
Well, I would say seltzers are big because fruited sours are big. I mean, I know that, again, part of the whole, like, the slushy beers that I keep coming back to, the heavily sour beers, I think, were first, and then the slushy beers evolved from that. So, like, all of these sour beers, I mean, they definitely, when they first came out, they were taking over everything. Like, I was working at a craft beer store, and we would get some drops from these breweries, and we would only be able to sell them by the can because we wanted enough people to get them.
Gotcha.
Because people would come in and just buy it by the case. Like this brewery in Cincinnati, they gave us a yearly release calendar, and they came out with a different sour and they had a different ghost for every 3 months, and they had a different fruited sour for each month. So
damn.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Man, I don't know. I'm not liking I like the creamsicle, not as much though as the Wolf's Rit.
No.
Yeah.
I think if this one's falling into the S category for me instead of the T category.
I'm also going to give it an S. I enjoyed it, but I've got another 2 cans of it, and I'm not going to have either one today.
Honestly, I've been sitting here thinking about this the whole time. I'm going to give it an O.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I think the orange and the vanilla, but not with a Kolsch.
Okay.
I don't think those go well with the Kolsch aspect of it. I think Andrew, I think you said that maybe it was too sweet, I believe, earlier. Honestly, I feel the opposite.
You don't think it's sweet enough?
I don't think it's sweet enough. I think the orange is kind of overwhelming of any of the.
Okay.
I also feel like it doesn't, like, had you not told me it was a creamsicle theme, I wouldn't know it. Like, yeah, like I get it, but it's also like not. I expected a little bit more goof,
more
yes,
that like dessertiness to it.
Yeah, a little more camp, a little more in the pocket of
yeah.
And I think one of the problems is I'm spoiled. I think Lucas spoils me with all these beers that have these adjuncts in them and all these sweet things in them. So when we get back to like basics like this, it's like I don't.
Well, I wouldn't even call this a basic.
Well, I wouldn't call it basic. I also would call it like the extreme adjuncts that we have too.
I would also assume if you're gonna go with like either go Kolsch and keep it like crispy, or go creamsicle and make it like a stout or a cream ale or something that like actually like replicates the mouthfeel that you're looking for in terms of a creamsicle style. That would be the other thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Nate, I might be downgrading to an O. I think.
Jeez, I don't want to change anyone's opinion here.
I think you're right though. Like, I feel like if we're gonna sit in creamsicle world, if we're gonna brand ourselves as a creamsicle, then commit to the bit. I feel like is the takeaway for me on this one.
You know what?
Creamsicle. Yours was a IPA, right?
The hell are you talking about?
The orange creamsicle you guys had at Crooked Ken.
Oh yeah. No, well, that was a milkshake IPA. So yeah.
Oh, it was a milkshake IPA.
Oh my.
Okay. So a milkshake IPA is an IPA that's been brewed with lactose sugar, so it gives it that like creaminess.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it gives it that sweetness. So, but with this one, we didn't brew it with lactose sugar, so I don't know how Zach did it with to give it that kind of creaminess texture, because he wanted people that had that intolerance to lactose to be able to enjoy the beer.
Sure.
To enjoy it. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna give. You know what? I've got to give it an O, and you know why? Because I don't want to finish it. Like,
that's fair.
It's well, here's the thing. It's like just warmed up enough that like I need this to be ice fucking cold. Like I need this to be like, but you know what? Man, this is really hovering. Although I do like the flavor of it. So this is hovering for me right on the precipice of O to S. So if there was a mystery like silent letter in there to put those in between, that's where I'd go.
A silent B for between.
Yeah, between.
Probst.
Yeah.
Land Grant. This is another Columbus, Ohio brewery, and they usually. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't think I've ever gone there and been like, I'll just take like your Pilsner or something. I feel like they've always done beers with adjuncts in them.
They have a huge variety.
Yeah.
I mean, they're constantly coming out with different things.
Oh man. We had one episode that we lost to the internet.
No.
Yeah. And it was the Land Grant episode where we had.
Was it the first time we had a brewery on here?
It was the first time we had a brewery. And we chose Land Grant because it was their 6th anniversary or their 7th anniversary.
They had like a whole lineup and everything.
They had their own, each beer in the anniversary 6-pack was a different style of beer and it had different adjuncts in it. They had a barbecue smoked lager. They had a donut coffee brown ale, which was absolutely delicious. They had a spruce tip IPA and some other ones that I can't remember. But my God. They do make some really, really good beers, but I'm giving it an S because I know that
that I'm wrong. That's
no, I'm not saying that. I'm the only one with an S. So all of your opinions mean nothing to me. It's I don't know because I get the creamsicle flavor of it, and I get what they're going for. But I don't know, you guys. Like, I do wish it was more desserty. I do wish it had more of that sweetness.
That's why I feel bad. Like,
golly, I don't know. Then I don't know what you guys think is a sweet beer. Mine is like candy. Like, I feel like mine is very sweet. But
I do also just love Kolsch beers in general. So that could be it for me as well.
So
God.
So you were mentioning Kolsch beers, and I was like, there was one I was like, what is the one that I had the most recently that was so good and just like one of the most drinkable beers? And it's from St. Elmo Brewing here in Austin, which is the Carl Kolsch. And they absolutely knocked it out of the park with the can design. I know, Drew, you've seen it. I mean, it is like,
I'm gonna look it up.
Look up. Yeah. Look
it
up. Look it up. Carl with a C, Carl, Carl Kolsch from St. Elmo Brewing. It is like 70s beer can. Like,
oh, hell yeah. The Carl.
That's the one I had most
Very
recently.
good.
Overall.
Oh, that doesn't. Oh, that's just a draft picture. Come on, give me the can.
Yeah, it is the most. It is the
Got
most
the images. Look at the door on there.
There
Oh
it is.
yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you guys,
the fact that that's not in a classic, like, you know, they used to have can openers, like that needs to come in an old school aluminum heavy can.
Yeah, it needs to have the like pull, like the like real pull tab. Absolutely.
If you guys like beer cans that are like that, check out Garage Beer from Braxton Brewing.
Nice. Well, and then have y'all reviewed beer from Portland? I think
We don't get that out here, so
okay.
I haven't been able to, because it's just a white can that says beer on it, right?
That's right. Yeah, and it's just a like standard beer, like it's a standard Pilsner beer that they drink out in Portland because they're cool.
When I saw those cans, I immediately thought of Lost.
Oh yeah,
when Hurley finds the old van and it's just full of beer in the back, and it's got the Dharma symbol and then just beer on the front.
Yeah, this the Carl, that is like that's a beer you could drink like while driving in a like in like a 70s like El Camino.
It immediately transports you back to 1974. You're in cutoff shorts.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Linklater is making a movie about you.
Yeah, exactly.
That beer comes with a ring or tea. That's how 100%.
Yeah.
That's how 70s it is. Yeah. Very good. And I feel like San Elmo, I feel like they're pretty, they're like on the come up. Like they came out with that one. That was the first one from San Elmo that I had. But they're Austin local, and like they're I feel like I've had one more by them, but yeah, absolute home run with that can. Like that's just it's so interesting too. Like, I don't know, we don't have to get into the aesthetics of like can design or like can art or like, you know, like the marketing to design of stuff. But it's so interesting how that like stuff plays out, because like I remember there was an interesting like, I don't know if it was an article. It might have just been a like an aesthetic breakdown of like wine, of like wine bottles, and like the kind, like those, like basically you fall at like the kind of like wine label you have like falls into like 5 essential essentially 5 categories, and they don't deviate from those categories. It's just like weird. You know, either you have like a like off-white label with like cursive script, and then like something like overly over an overly educated name, like something that you wouldn't like, that wouldn't be for the common people, or it's like a one-word name in like serif font. It's very interesting to break down the like label aesthetics for wine. And there's an article, the article did a pretty good job of like analyzing it. But it would be interesting to like go on a deep dive of beer and breweries labels and like how they kind of how they like kind of land on their aesthetic or their marketing, or how they like want to be perceived, I guess.
Man, that would be
all over the place.
That'd be a dream job. Just the video marketing department for a beer company. Just all you got to do is film these wet cans next to ice cubes every day.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, can we get can I get a glint of sun off the side of that, on the side of that can? Let's just get like,
can we take this shoot down to the river, please, to get like a tubing shot next to a picnic table? Like, is there anything better than being in a beer store's marketing department? Okay, I'm excited for this Extra Galactic, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, let's crack it.
It's been creeping me out this whole time. It's been staring at me.
So Arche is another one of our favorite breweries on the show. They make some really, really fun and really interesting beers.
Oh, it's bright red.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
and they are from Akron, Ohio.
Ooh, the rosé of the group. This is nice.
All right.
Open that.
So beer, the weirdest thing about beer to me is that it never smells like it tastes. And it's such a weird thing to overcome, where it's like, until it's in your mouth, you don't know what it's going to be. But I am getting notes of Trix cereal on my first little smell. Like very, just smelling it.
That you're absolutely right. With the like breakfast cereal, like Trix is very, it's like right there,
which like that makes sense. It's like fruit and grain.
I'll tell you right now, when you sent this, I didn't look at the can closely enough, and just like just like the part of my brain that just recognizes colors and patterns, the lizard brain part of my brain, just saw this as a cider because that green looked like an apple to me.
Okay,
and like there was red on there, and I was like, oh, that's probably also an apple. So I thought there was some kind of like cider. No, this is a beer. I'm very excited.
I feel like,
here we go.
Andrew, you're gonna love that.
These guys came out with a cranberry beer for around Thanksgiving time, and we did a whole Thanksgiving Day episode where we had different beers that paired with each, like a side on Thanksgiving, dessert, and of course the turkey. And my God, that cranberry one was delicious. I'm very excited for this one. Well, that's not what I was expecting.
I don't know what I think right now.
I was hoping for more cherry limeade slushy from Sonic.
I'm gonna try a little bit more, but I barely got through.
This is not that.
It's really strong cherry.
You're getting
very strong cherry.
You're not getting that?
Maybe I am.
I don't like that, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not
That's
a fan.
Fun.
I didn't make the beer. You're not hurting my feelings.
Yeah, I appreciate you getting us getting our hands on it, but I don't think it's my speed at all. I don't think it's.
I'm gonna give you that extra can, Nate. I don't want this.
Really?
Oh God, no.
Okay, so no, but okay. I didn't know if it. Andrew, what are your thoughts here? Keep coming back to it because I'm not sure why I hate it.
I can tell you why I don't like it. It is very, very medicinal. It tastes like medicine to me. Like it's got, I think it's whatever like is in the chair, like what normally would be what normally would be the perfect marriage is cherry lime is in the cherry limeade slush from Sonic. Here has come across very medicinal to me. Like I just like tasted it again. I was like, this is like
Roses.
It's like someone dissolved a Luden's cough drop in something. Yeah, what's up?
Can I ruin this beer for you further?
Sure, please.
Okay. You and I both have gastrointestinal problems and have had to do
thank you.
colonoscopies before. And the drink that they give you before having a colonoscopy is the same. It's very cherry forward, and then it has like a milky mouthfeel to it.
Just your eyes when you
and it's not because like to be clear, the new colonoscopy way of doing business is like you get a little bottle, but back in the day they would give you like a gallon jug to power through, and that's it's the gallon jug. I was like, because I immediately was like, why do I want to spit this out? And it's that's why.
That's why. No, you're absolutely right. And I want to. Oh God. You're absolutely right.
Now I think I'm like way out now.
No, here's the thing, and not just so. I'm sorry, Arshay. I'm sure you're lovely. This not only does like the very first initial taste when it hits my tongue have a very medicinal quality to it. This after the aftertaste, the thing that's just like lingering in my mouth right now.
Yeah.
Big thumbs down. I'm going back to that. I'm going back to that creamsicle.
I'm about to
I think I'm gonna open something in my beer fridge just to get the taste out of my mouth.
Here's the thing. Maybe it's because it's like warm now. Like we've been here for a little over an hour. And
no, it's not.
Like if this was crispy cold, I feel like I'd be in a lot better shape.
But
there's something about the mouthfeel on this one that is like, I keep thinking of the words lactose, but it's not that. It just feels really like,
heavy in the street.
Yeah, just like thicker than it should if I'm dealing with lime and cherry. Like both of those things, I think are going to ruin a glass of milk for me.
You know, I will. You know where I think the actual, if I'm going to pinpoint a downfall of this thing, I'm gonna point it strict. I'm gonna hang this directly on key lime, because key lime is a very different flavor than lime.
Yeah.
Because key lime has a very key lime, the reason they make fucking pies out of it is because it does have a more like creamy lime flavor than like a sharp acidic lime flavor.
That's correct.
And so like this, which I like, and I hate key lime pie. So there's no
key lime pie. I love key lime. Man.
I'm a sucker for a key lime. You hand me a key lime pie, and I'm handing you back an empty pie plate.
No, give me a lemon meringue. If we're gonna go that, if it's side by side, I'll take a lemon meringue any day.
So much work to be done. If you go back to that daybreak, Andrew, if you have any of it left, that is
that shit is gone, brother.
It is palate cleanser doesn't even begin to define. The other problem with the Arche is that there's so much of it. It's a tall boy.
Yeah. What it lacks in flavor, it more that makes up in quantity.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to get rid of it. They're just like, fuck it. Nobody likes it. Just make them tall boys.
Yeah. Just put them in a bigger can.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. This is part of a series, right? They've got different flavors for their extragalactic origins.
Yes.
So I think they have a key lime by itself.
They may or may not. I'm not 100% sure, but I also think the key lime
this one very well.
I think the key lime might be because they had to do a substitute. I think they had a cherry lime, but I think they couldn't get the lime, and so they're like, let's do key lime.
That's very possible. That is a bold move to do the key. What's interesting too,
because the can art is essentially, I mean, it's a straight up lime.
That's a lime. That's not a key lime. That's a straight up lime.
That's what I'm thinking. Like they
key limes are tiny.
Logo. Yeah.
Interesting. You know, I think they make this again with like straight limes and not key limes, like your lime classic. I think I might not hate this, but you know what's also fascinating? This is also 8%.
Yeah,
like
I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't get that.
This does not come across as an 8%.
No.
I will say that for sure.
It doesn't have any of that. Like, I don't know how to describe it aside from like the farmhouse, like alcohol bite, I guess is what, like, cause I'm a sucker for high ABV. Like I am all the way down for a good farmhouse, 12% boozy beer, like something that's whiskey aged.
Tell about farmhouse sales, how much you love them.
Like,
farmhouse sales.
Really? What, Lucas? What? Talk to me about. I might be like completely talking out of my ass in terms of like what I like.
If I wanted a funky cheese, I would eat funky cheese instead of funky cheese.
Got it. I'm
Um,
all about like the sweet high alcohol browns. Like that is all. That's my whole.
I can get behind that.
That's when I think farmhouse. That's what I'm actually saying. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but
So a farmhouse ale, it's gonna have. So like your high ABV browns, I mean, I don't. So like the farmhouse ale is its own category type thing where it's kind of been soured and it has that funky thing because the whole thing of a farmhouse ale was that it was basically accidentally made.
Never mind.
We were making bread and we fucked up.
And it's just been left out to the elements in an open vat. That's how farmhouse ales were originally, and it's like the. Like, how did they invent yogurt?
Right.
They
left out some milk.
Yeah, like it's just that
same deal.
Natural bacteria type thing.
Oh, thinking of like funky, weird beers. If y'all ever get the opportunity to talk to people from Austin again, the Black Star Co-op is they're a brewery here in town. They're also a really good food establishment, but they have insane, really fun beers. And then the other really great thing about them is that they're a co-op. And so you're not allowed to tip and everybody gets paid fairly. And it's like
that's dope.
The new, and they've been around forever. They've been around since like 2008 or something like that. So it's they're all cooperatively owned and are able to make business. Like they're able to be socialists inside of a capitalist society, and it's very pleasant to know, like to like go eat there and feel like not guilty about like exploiting anybody.
Yeah, no, they pay their workers really well. And yeah, I remember I went to their soft opening.
Nice.
and I had like a fried egg sandwich that was delicious.
Dude, their food's great. And then they have weird beers. Like I think one of them's called like the recalcitrant dockhand. And I had to look up what the word recalcitrant meant. Like the first time I went, like getting those the Black Star guys on your show would be a boom.
Yeah. No, I'll write that down. Make sure to at least reach out to them, see if they can probably send us something or whatnot.
Did you, Drew, have you ever had well, no, you don't like IPA, so you probably didn't try it.
It's not that I don't like it. I want to be clear. I want to go on record saying I love IPAs.
IPAs don't like you.
They like, I don't know what happened in my late 20s, but there was a night after a lot of IPAs that my body was just like, cool, you're never having this again. And it becomes a stomach issue and then a migraine issue. And it's the weirdest thing because it's my my right eye goes out. It just like shuts off and like oh no, like
so you have
what kind of beer was that? Oh, it was a pale ale. Oh
sorry.
No.
Could you hand it to me? I don't have any depth perception.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like so I was gonna ask if you had Pint House Pizza's
yes.
electric jellyfish.
Yes, once before a big nap.
Yeah, there's a pizza place here called Pint House. That's a pretty good pizza place. Like they actually at one time, I think they still make it, like one of my favorite pizzas. That's not just like a pepperoni cheese. But they have their own, like, they serve a lot of really interesting and they rotate in and out some like really interesting good beers. But then they also like brew their own, and they have one called the Electric Jellyfish that's really good that I really, really liked.
Here's the thing about like opening a brewery. Just open a pizza place also. Like that's
open a brewery, it's a winner.
It's just like you're already like halfway there with all of the ingredients and like the shit that you need. Like, oh, what do we need? We need yeast, we need wheat, we need all this other, like, just make some dough out of what your burn off is, and then now everybody's sober enough to get where they need to go.
Well, here's if you could somehow, the first person to do this in Austin, the first person to build an eatery / brewery on one, like that's like right off one of our rail lines, will make more money than God.
Well, I will say the Brutorium is currently front runner for they are right across the street from one of the rail lines, and so
yes, but they opened at the beginning of the pandemic. Like they had
that is correct. If you're able to anything along, well, once our new rail lines open in Austin, I assume, just breweries and pizza places as far as the eye can see.
As far as the eye can see, everything the light touches. Because that's okay. So that's one of the things that's actually really wonderful, though, like about kind of the burgeoning, I would say, beer and spirits scene that like Austin is like, right in the middle of the boom. We're a boom town for that right now. Is because like for most of the year, the weather's so mild that people like doing they may like make a day out of it. So like there's Jester King Brewery, which
you're in a party bus and you go all the way around the hill country just fucking up on beers. Like that's the move.
So you go out to Jester King, which is like just on the outside, like outside city limits, and it's this big sprawling brewery and facility, and you take a tour and you sample all the beers and you have food, and it's like a day, and it's a wonderful time. And I feel like as things kind of ease up, but you're kind of getting back into that. Like that's the move. That's the move, Reno, is to like have an eatery / brewery that people can like.
But that's what I'm saying about pizza. Is pizza's already like 9/10 of beer anyway. You're making bread, like it's bread, so it's like the same. You're just ordering an extra like some yeast and some more wheat to your beer order. If you're opening a brewery, open a pizza place because it's cost effective.
Oh
with the leftovers, you guys have somebody that comes in and picks up the leftovers.
The spent grains. Yeah. We have a local farmer that comes and picks up the spent grains. Yeah,
you got a secondary business going on there. No,
there you go.
Well, I mean, I think you just
give it. You don't actually
just give it because then if they didn't come pick it up, then we'd have to dispose of it.
But now, they come take it away for you, and it's a $0 claim, where it's just like, fuck it, dude. You're gonna haul it off for me. Great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't have to spend my time and or money like trying to like offload this stuff. So,
but I do know a lot of like sourdough recipes that involve beer, and I don't know why. I have never seen this, and I don't know why. I think it's because, I mean, again, coming back to the pizza element, pizza is all about dough and sauce, right? Like that's your two. If you can do dough and sauce real well, you can make a great pizza. But why don't more breweries have specialty, like breweries / pizza places have more specialty dough? Basically, like take whatever like beer that you're going to put in your dough anyway, and then make it the specialty beer of the month or whatever to try out new. Sorry, I'm on a pizza tangent.
You're giving us ideas for future business.
I cleaned the daybreak, and I keep now retrying the Arshay, and I've gone off on a tangent.
I'm glad I saved a little bit of the creamsicle culture, because that's like really pulling my bacon out of the fire right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the Arshay, guys.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Here's the thing about beers that are yucky and things that are yucky in general, like food that's yucky and whatever. I am 100% about experience, where it's just like, even if it's gross, as long as we like swung for it and tried it, that was a good time. I'm having a good time by having a bad beer. Like that's
exactly, precisely.
Like, I'm not gonna.
It's a shared experience.
Yeah, it's a shared experience that we all like. A fun thing that we all did. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I will gladly share a bad beer with people so we can all talk about it. That is way more appealing than like, oh, I just like took a chance and like bought a 6-pack and like took it home and I'm going to sip it. I'm going to like, crack a brew and like watch a movie or something. And it sucks. Like that sucks. Like that really, when you're like, well, I'm alone and like watching this movie and I just like probably paid, if it's like, I paid definitely upwards of $10 for the 6-pack of like, meh.
He tries to pawn off all the beers he doesn't like onto me. So.
Well, you're getting it. I get to heat it.
There you go.
The 4th can of this Arshay.
What lucky soul will find that in their fridge. So going back to like the shared experience, I think that's like probably that's the appeal of most things. I feel like that
100%. Like I think that was the biggest thing that we lost in the pandemic, was just like, oh, going to dinner with friends, even if it's a bad dinner, you're still there with friends and are able to like whisper of like, oh my God, this cheese sucks so bad. Like that's just a fun thing to do as a person with a monkey's brain. Like that's just a good time.
Yeah. And I like something you guys, I'm going to thank you for knocking something loose, which is like, as someone who doesn't drink much beer anymore, this has made me want to like go get a beer, like, and go try some more new stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Con Amigos at our local breweries, because I really haven't. My friend John Gross was the beer buyer for Alamo Draft House for like the longest time. And he's like a huge beer guy. Like he is like, that is his thing. Like he is a beer dude, knows everything about it, super into that world. And always has something like interesting or like new or strange in his refrigerator. And so I'm gonna now I really want to hit him up. Be like, hey man, what's the deal? What's the deal, bud? What's the deal, bud?
Honestly, before this podcast became about us opening a brewery together, it was because Lucas didn't agree with the beers I drank, which was mostly Natty Ice at the time.
Nice.
and the fact that you were still drinking it, you're an adult.
You
pay tax.
Highest ABV. That's all I need to get drunk. Anyway,
you're a teacher.
The whole focus was like him just trying to teach me what beer is and like what goes into it, and like I'm spoiled now. Like just I don't think I've had a domestic beer other than like an occasional Budweiser in forever.
Well, we got that 12-pack of seltzers that we have to review.
He wants me to try it like seltzers. I don't know.
I was going to recommend, I don't know if either of you have read this book. I recommend this book to everybody because it's absolutely one of my favorite, not just like history books, but just books in general. Love it so much. It's called The History of the World in 6 Glasses. It's a history book, but it's written, it's not very long. Very, very, very easily readable, written extremely well, not written like a history book, written more like an oral history. So it's very, just very readable, but it just catalogs like human history in 6 drinks. So it goes through beer. I
can name 4. Oh, yeah. Wine. God damn it.
Beer, wine, coffee, spirits, tea, Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna be like, "Where's the mead?" But no,
where's the mead?
Well, because like the argument is that like beer is why we have society, right? Like that's the premise of.
Well, it's fascinating because they don't know like which came first, beer or bread, because like they had to like purify water at some point, so they boiled it.
Yeah, that's why they used to drink beer so much, was because, oh man, we can't drink the water, let's drink beer. But if we only brought the water to a boil.
Yeah. So I highly recommend this book. It's very interesting. And I think the first chapter is beer because it goes back the longest, like, and then goes through
the argument of like agrarian society exists because we like to get drunk. Like that was the whole like.
Yeah, precisely. So it's a really fascinating book, but one of the like most fascinating points, one of the most fascinating things about it was just like the different, basically the different modes or different stations in life and in society that different drinks take, or at least older drinks take, beer, wine, coffee and stuff, is that they go, because they cannot be mass produced. They're very rarefied. So they start off as usually sacrament. They're usually used in some kind of like
religious.
They're usually used in just like wine, very, very, at a time was very rare, and coffee was very rare, and was used in, religious sacrament, and then became a little bit, they were like, hey, we should make more of this. And so they would make more and produce more of it. So then it became a little bit less sacred, but still valuable. So then they would pay people with it. So then they would be like, oh, here's your like skin of wine, Roman soldier. Like, this is what you're being paid in. A soldier worth his salt, because they used to pay people in salt, but they also used to pay people with wine as well.
Well, and like booze has been part of rations almost as long, like only recently have they stopped offering booze as rations. Like sailors were offered booze as rations up until like the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like at the end of the 1800s is when you stopped getting your ration of whiskey and rum.
Yeah. Precisely. So it's really fascinating. And then it becomes so mass produced, societies like we're like, guys, we got to start cranking this out. And it becomes like an industry within those societies that then it like becomes a commodity that then becomes just basically traded, because it's so ubiquitous and kind of but it's just fascinating to read about how like those drinks, including like beer, wine, tea, all this stuff, just kind of fall in and out of these like stations of a society. Is very fascinating. So I recommend that book to all readers.
Yeah.
History of the World in 6 Glasses. Check it out.
If you said something about lemon meringue pie earlier,
oh no,
Wolf's Ridge Brewing, they have a series called the Clear Sky series, and it's all different pies. Like this is their lemon meringue, and they have a chocolate coconut cream pie beer, which is
that
rich.
Sounds disgusting.
It is delicious. It is delicious. It is like cocoa and chocolatey and it's not to the point where it's like you have and it's
beer's so weird to me, because like both of those things you said are like, oh, I could figure that, like that makes sense from a beer. Like there's no other beverage where I'm like, oh, like chocolate milk is chocolate milk and like a lemonade is a lemonade. But in beer, you can have both. Like there's chocolate beer and there's lemon beer. Like, oh, I could figure that out as a beer.
There's
like,
lemonade IPAs. There's
what's the craziest thing you've heard into a beer?
So craziest thing I've ever heard into a beer. Evil Twin Brewing, out of, well, I guess they're out of New York is probably the best you could say, but they were a gypsy brewery, which is when you go to different breweries and be like, here's some money, I'm going to use your equipment.
Oh, cool.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And they made one called the Big Ass Money Stout, and it is a 17.2% stout. and you can only get it by the can, and it's about $9-10 a can. And in the stout, it has been brewed with frozen pizzas and freshly printed Norwegian Krugerrands, I believe is what they use.
What is that?
So their money. It's freshly printed Norwegian money.
Was it just weird for the sake of being weird?
That's what Evil Twin does. Yeah. They came out with another one called the Bozo beer, which was a beer that they made making fun of craft beer snobs. And they're like, screw you guys. We're going to put 15 different ingredients into this stout. It came out to be another 17% stout, but it's absolutely delicious because it's like chocolate, cacao, like just whatever they had lying
cinnamon,
around.
yeah.
Throw whatever's sitting around.
And it turned out to be a really good stout. But it's but
That's
that big ass money stout is probably the craziest thing I heard in a long time that I've had. I think the new thing that everybody's trying to get their hands on now is from Parish Brewing. They actually took they did a collaboration with Raising Cane's.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Now we're talking.
They made a lemonade IPA with their lemonade that they had.
I thought you were going to tell me that it was going to be a comeback sauce style beer, and I was going to throw up right now.
People have made beers with like sauces in it and stuff like that, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Well, I mean, the whole thing with the craft soda industry as well now is like you can get a ranch soda. Who the hell wants a ranch
like the Jones soda, like the gravy, like there's still like, again, stunt style beverages. So.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing. It's just like where I don't know. I'm not about the stunts. Like I'll take one sip. It's like one of those things. It's just like, I'll try it.
Also, just like you don't need to. Come on, like you don't need to fuck it up. Like don't give me a gravy style beer. I don't want that. Like that's a joke. Like that just seems wasteful of actual people's product and skill. Like let folks make things that are good.
Well, and a pain in the ass to clean.
And a pain in the ass to clean. Well, it's one of those things where it's just like I feel like that, well, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. I feel like it may be one of those situations where I'm a little more interesting. It's like, no, I wanted to make I wanted to do a gravy beer, but my intent was to actually make a really good gravy beer. Like, let me see if I could make that a drinkable thing rather than just let me see if I can. There's a difference between I want to see if I can do this and let me see if I can do this and make it good, because those are two very, very different things. And so I feel like when it's ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, this is clearly a stunt and kind of a joke is where I'm like, meh. But when it's oh no, we really took a swing at this because we wanted to try it. And this is a little bit of experimentation, a little bit of reaching out and branching out and trying something new. I'm about that. I can get on board with that. But yeah. It's I think it's all about just kind of the sincerity which is approached, I guess.
We still have to do the last rating for the beer.
We've all been prolonging this whole.
Is there any rating beyond? Is there a silent S at the beginning of Probst? You know what? I'll give it an R.
I was going to say R.
I didn't spit it out.
I'm also going to give it an R.
Yeah, I feel like a P would just be I can't actually gullet this at all.
Yeah,
but I think your theory about the lime and the key lime, I think
you're exactly
pretty
right.
accurate.
Yep,
I think that's probably what it was. Okay,
honestly, I'm going to go with my least favorite. Will probably have to be the Arche.
Yeah. I think for the beers of the night,
that's across the board. Yeah,
I think we're all aligned across the board. As
I also think that too, because I was also because my number 2 is definitely the Kriba Kolsch.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Wow, are we all agreeing on?
I think we're all in alignment of Arche, Kriba Kolsch, and then the Wolf's Ridge. I think that's 3-2-1 for sure.
Yeah, that Daybreak is outstanding.
The Daybreak is, again, of all these beers, the Daybreak is one I will recommend to people.
Yeah,
it's one that I'm gonna be try it. It's very good. I will probably buy some of this. This is I'm
if you could get it down there.
Yeah, you might we might be in contact with you about grades.
About live yeast samples.
Some
Live
yeast
yeast samples.
swapping.
If you guys wanted to do that again, I am 100% on board with that. I can't get enough Texas beer. I can only get a few Texas beers up here, I guess, and most of them are like
so many good ones.
Let's get the Bach beer from what's that?
Shiner,
yeah, we can get
There's
Shiner
Shiner
beer
and
up
there's
here.
Ziegen. We only got two.
And did
Shiner
you?
Up there.
Lemon meringue.
We
can send the lemon meringue.
Fascinating bit of like weird
Go ahead
beer.
for it, man.
Fascinating bit of like weird beer pissing contest territorialness. So Shiner is a Texas beer, a good Texas beer. And I was actually going to talk about Ruby Redbird a little bit, which is their grapefruit beer, which is really good, very popular here.
Very good.
Very good summer beer.
Oh God, I can't stand that beer.
Oh really?
I think it's too much artificial grapefruit.
Yeah, I mean it's in our blood. But so I think it's Anheuser-Busch, whoever makes Ziegenbach.
Yeah.
So we have.
Oh yeah.
Shiner, very popular in Texas. They have the Shiner Bach beer, very popular here in Texas. So I can't remember, one of the major brewers, one of the big boys, made Ziegenbach that is only available in Texas just to compete with Shiner. It is available nowhere else. They made it specifically for this area and this demo to compete with Shiner Bach. It's a complete like whip it out, measure it style. Like, oh yeah, you got this like really popular local Texas only beer. Well, here, this is our version of it. Yeah, so it's and you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It tastes like everything else. I mean, it tastes like that. It tastes like that beer. But yeah, we'll if we want to do a little exchange program, happy to do it.
Yeah,
for hands down. All right, so we just do a quick cheers at the end of the night. That's how we.
Yes,
that's how we end everything off. I just want to say thank you, Drew, and thank you, Andrew, for taking the time and enjoying a flight of beers at 11 a.m. where you are,
sure.
and coming on our show. So thank
absolutely.
you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
You didn't have anybody else you wanted to?
I'm good.
All right. Well, that brings us to another end of the Pint Pals podcast. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Lucas from the Pint Pals Podcast. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok. We also have set up a Patreon if you feel like supporting the show in another way. Again, it is always appreciated but never expected. Let's get on with the show.